Today I'm making Mrs Wages Salsa. These are fresh from the garden, just dicing them up. These ones I had in the freezer from last year. There's not enough ripe yet, but not enough to make quarts. So waiting for the big crop to come through. So I'm following the recipe just on here. It makes the best salsa. My daughter actually won't eat anything else. So right now I am dicing up some tomatoes, and I'm supposed to get up to 10 cups of diced tomatoes. You can also use canned. I did that last year and it was just as delicious too, and actually really easy because you just open the cans. You don't drain them, dump them and cook them. So here we go, more dicing to go, and I'll meet back up with you. Just want to show you, frozen tomatoes do not need blanched. They just need to be put in some cold water and the skins slide right off of them. So that's actually really easy too. But the problem is that they're frozen. I gotta let them thaw a minute or two before I can dice them up. So that's holding me up a little bit, but that's super convenient. The cell structure, the meat part of the tomato, does break down a little bit more while they're frozen, so you definitely want to use them for soup or even turning them into, you know, quarts and stuff like that. They're not going to be a showpiece. And before I get any hate, I bleach all of my sinks and everything else before I start canning. So I got my jars soaking in hot soapy water. I have my water bath heating up, and in here I'm going to combine my ingredients. We have our 10 to 12 cups of fresh diced tomatoes. In that goes a half a cup of white vinegar, and then the salsa mix, whole package. This mixture to a boil, and you boil it for 10 minutes before you put it in the jars. It smells so good already. The jars do not need sanitized in the water bath, because you water bath this for 40 minutes and that's enough time to sanitize the jars. Got a couple of little ones that snuck in there. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil and cook it for 10 minutes, and I'll meet you back when I'm jarring them up. While you don't need your jars sanitized before, you want them hot because you're putting a hot liquid into them. You don't want to heat them up in the oven. That's dry heat. Mason jars are made for a moist heat. That's why you use hot water to keep them warm. So they're going to sit in here along with the rings while I finish off my salsa. This is what it looks like boiling away, simmering. The foam is not a big deal. It just comes from the tomatoes. I don't bother skimming it off, but you could if it bothered you. Water bath is boiling, getting ready for the stuff. I did add a little splash of white vinegar to prevent the lime scale buildup on my jars. It's just more aesthetic than anything. It won't hurt your jars. It just looked yucky. Alright, here's the salsa after it's cooked down. It's thinned up some because it broke down the tomatoes. Got my hot jars. I got my debubbler, and I am going to can some of this up. It's delicious. I'm telling you, it's so worth making. You want to leave a ½ inch headspace as per the instructions. I'm not sure how many pints I'll get. It varies depending on how much water is in the tomatoes, what brand you use and kind. So I'm going to finish jarring this up and I'll meet you back. Okay, I got 5½ pints. You can serve this right away. You can freeze it. You can can it. So you don't have to can it if you don't want to. Just debubbling my jars. That little one that's not full, I'm going to put that in the refrigerator. No sense in processing it, wasting a lid. You know, wipe your rims. Some use vinegar. I just typically use a moist towel. I'm to make sure all the stuff's off the rim so your lid can get a good seal. And also you can feel if there's any chips or anything like that. I put my lids in the hot water. You don't have to boil them like you used to back in the day. I just like to do this to make sure they're just a little more flexible, the rubber seal. And I have a plastic lid I can put on that one. Next step, you have to grab an oven mitt or something because the jars are hot. So you need to hold the jar where you put the lid on. Okay, I got my rims on, finger tight, a little bit more than finger tight. And I'm going to put them in my water bath now. The water bath is very hot. Looks like I'm going to have to add water. When you do not want to start counting your process time until after it came back to a boil. I'm going to add some more water because you want the water about 2 inches above the lids of the jars. Okay, I'll bring this back to a full boil and then I will start counting my process time, which is 40 minutes. Please, before you do any home canning, do your research. National Centers for Home Food Preservation is an excellent website. That website is basically the best source. My water's boiling. Correct a little bit. Set my timer for 40 minutes. And I want to keep this at a rolling boil the whole time. Like I said, before you do any home canning, make sure you have the equipment. Do your research. You don't want to do it, my old granny used to do this and she lived to be 103. It's not worth making somebody sick or dead over just to do it the old ways. Learn the new ways, embrace them, and that's how you keep your family safe. It's about preparing and saving the food. If you do not do them correctly, you may just have to dump all of that food in the garbage and then everything is lost. So make sure you follow the rules and enjoy it because it is so much better. It's delicious and it's so satisfying knowing that you made it from seed to table, whether it's canned, frozen, prepared. It's amazing. Sorry for my little rant there. I just want you to be safe and your family to be healthy. So follow the rules. Things change with altitude. I am at basically 1,000 sea level, so it's easy for me. I don't have to do any kind of math. But I also have pressure canners for vegetables that aren't so high in the acid, like the tomatoes. The reason you can do this with the tomatoes is you put that vinegar in. That makes a huge difference on the acidity level. So yeah, thank you for watching. I will show you what the jars look like whenever they come out of the canner, and give it a go. This stuff is amazing. I love it, and I've been making it for 3 or 4 years now. I didn't make it last summer because the year before that I made like 24 pints of it and we finally used it all up. So if you like my video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye. Here they are, fresh from the canner. Let them sit for 5 minutes in the water bath. They've already sealed. I literally just pulled them out. Delicious.